What can I talk about?
Well, what do you know? Come on, you always come up with stories. You always come up with stories. Tell us a story.
Well, I'm trying to think, honey.
Okay, let's see. Help him think,
know.
Glenn.
You know when I'm supposed to say something, I can't say it. I'm tongue-tied. It's always the way it goes. I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything.
Come on, you're on television.
I know,
The man is waiting for you.
It'll just be silent.
It's an interview.
I'll be one of the silent majority.
Tell us, Mr. Prival, what happened? Tell us a story about when you were working at NBC.
About who?
When you were working at NBC.
Oh, that story again. Gee, that's awful.
Well, you want another story?
Why do I have to say anything?
Because it's all on your sound. Your voice will be recorded.
Is anybody else going to be on it except me?
Well, this segment will be you.
Huh?
This segment will be you. I'm Barbara Walters, and I'm doing an interview.
You save these tapes, or what do you do? Wipe them out after you're through with them, or what?
No, we save them.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
Are those tapes expensive?
Yes, terribly. So.
How much are they?
$17 for 6 hours.
Whoa, that's not too bad.
No, it's not bad.
That's not expensive for what it is.
And you've got sound as well as picture.
Huh?
Let's see. Tell us about the story. Tell us about your friend who lived in a cigar.
Oh, that's a long story. I don't want to
dear.
tell that. My God, I'll be here all afternoon. No.
Oh dear.
No. I'm trying to think of a story.
Well, you told us a story before. What story did you tell us just a little while ago?
I'm trying. Well, I won't tell a story. I'll say, you know, when I was a little boy, my parents lived with my grandparents, and my grandfather had a big fur store, and they had the whole building on 6th Avenue between 14th and 15th Street. No, wait a minute, no, it was between 14th and 15th Street on 6th Avenue, and on the bottom was the fur store, and they had a big bear in front, and the kids used to come and pull the hair out of the bear. So my grandfather conceived the idea of putting pins in it, so when the kids were they tore their fingers, so they left the bear alone.
What? Yeah.
But anyhow, I lived there. And you know that about 20 years later, 25 years later, I moved into that same building and I went to the studio, and somebody else, of course, owned the building then. So you see, that's some of the things that happened.
And they still have the bear on the window?
No. The window's a bear now. The window's a bear.
You're thinking about the water wagon story.
Yeah, the water wagon story. Tell the water wagon story.
You know, did I tell you that story, Glenn?
About in Hoboken, where you live?
No, in Englewood.
Oh, in Englewood, yeah.
I told you that, huh?
Well, tell us for posterity or whatever.
Well, when I was a little kid, there used to be a little opening, a little place where there were no buildings. And they used to have a water wagon that used to be used to sprinkle the streets. And I told Zora about it, and when we went back. When we came from California, we went out to Englewood, to that house where I used to live, and believe it or not, that water wagon was still there, standing there after 50 years.
Isn't it?
They never moved
amazing.
it. I felt like climbing up on it and playing games. They thought I was a little bit too old by then. They thought I better not act so childish.
Yeah. Isn't it something? After 50 years, they've been cleaning around it for 50 years.
It used to be a beautiful place then.
I wonder if it's still there.
The water wagon?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
Well, they're there for 50 years, imagine that.
Yeah.
And I guess the kids still played on it.
It'd be about 25 years later now. Now it would be about 25 years later.
What's he going to do now? Going to take a picture of you?
No, he's still on you.
Probably get a little bit better light.
Oh.
Because there's a shadow across.
What are you going to do with all that? You don't want to hold
Do you want to move him? Shall I move him so he doesn't have a shadow on his face?
No, I don't want it.
Huh?
Can you see what you're doing?
Or do you want me to move the umbrellas? Do you want him all in shadow or all in...
Well, if you can stand the umbrella moves for a couple of seconds.
Can you stand the sun for a few minutes?
You know what?
Can you stand being in all the sun for
Yeah,
a few
that's all
minutes?
right.
Yeah, is that all right?
Yeah, that's much better.
Much better. Well, tell us another story.
Yeah. But I had a studio on 4th Street, and one night I was mixing some dye, and I had big black velvet curtains in front of the window so nobody could look in. And I was mixing this dye, and I put him in little glasses, and then I hold the glass up to the light and shake them so I could see the density of the dye. Did I ever tell you this
Yes,
story?
yes, I like it. Go ahead.
And all of a sudden, bang, 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 bang at the door. And I thought, what's going on? So I went, a couple of policemen came in. This was during the Prohibition days. And he said to me, I suppose you've got to tell me you didn't know there was a law against it, with an Irish accent. And I said, no, what? I didn't know any law against it. So he said,
Talk loudly.
huh?
Talk loudly, I'm playing.
Oh, wait till it's gone. So he said to me, you didn't know it was against the law? I said, no, I didn't know it was against the law. So he said, oh, you're one of those wise guys. I said, no, I'm not a wise guy. But so he said, bring me a glass. So I brought him a glass. And he takes one of these bottles of dye and pours it into the glass. He's going to drink it. And I said, you know, I said, I think before you drink this, I ought to tell you, it's got some sulfuric acid in it. It's got acetic acid. It's got global salt. And I said, if you enjoy it, go be my guest. So he goes and smells it. Jesus, he says, smell this awful stuff. So then I told him what it was. Oh, jeez, he says, that's one on me. He says, you want a drink? I said, yeah, I wouldn't mind. So then both cops went out and came back with a gallon of wine and hamburger sandwiches, and for the rest of the night we sat around eating hamburger sandwiches and drinking wine. So that was the end of that. A few nights later, I hear pounding on somebody being pushed against my window, and I look in through the curtains, and here's a fellow standing, a fellow pinned against the wall. The cops got him pinned against the show window, and he says, what are you doing in front of this man's place? He says, I'm just waiting for a friend of mine. He says, yeah, who's this friend of yours? Oh, he says, he's just a grease ball. So the cop says, and what are you? Pokes him with the grease. He says, I'm a grease ball too. I think that's funny.
Yeah, so the policemen were protecting you.
If I was going to, oh, it's just a grease ball, but...
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't have any good stories to tell.
So it goes.
I do? Good stories.
A lot
I
of
have
funny
to tell.
experiences.
I don't have, huh? What
A
then?
deal experience.
Oh,
Now that I'm old, I have no
it's a shame
experience.
I don't have all these experiences.
All I do now is complain.
Life has really been pretty dull, I guess.
What's Mommy doing?
She's walking back and forth, filling the bird
Why
bath.
isn't she in the picture then?
Well, we have
She's gonna
some
come
of
out.
her.
Next time she comes out, we'll make her
Next
sit
time
down
she comes
next to
out,
you.
she's going to have to sit down. We're going to get her too.
Have you got some of the kids, I guess, huh?
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna get some more.
So
though.
anyhow, those were interesting days. I had a lot of experiences then.
God, I know you have so many stories.
Now I don't anymore.
And then your old stories of,
So here she is.
here she is.
Can you manage to sit over next to Benno? Or is it, why don't you move over, Zorina?
Here, she can sit here. No. Here, if you can stand the sun for a little while. You want your hat? I'll get your hat.
Does it need full sun?
Well, the lighting is, if the lighting is good, you get a better picture. Brighter picture.
What, are you taking her separately now?
Yeah. I can move back
Can
though.
she have her hat, or that would shade
Sure.
her face and it wouldn't be good?
Well, if you can get her hat, I gotta.
Because I know she's worried about the sun on her nose.
How do you have
Well,
to
it
develop?
makes me squint so badly. That's the
Do you have to
trouble.
develop these?
Are you
No, I don't.
Are you taking sound too?
Yes.
And
You
what
are.
happens then when this is all done?
Well,
just
I
can-
have a video tape of the thing, just the way they have it
You
on
can-
TV.
You can just see it right away.
So if
Wonderful.
I go up and get my
Oh, there goes the sun
video
anyway.
camera, if we have an extension long enough, I can put it on this table and we
And
can
maybe
see
you
it
can
back.
see it a little bit. Wouldn't
That
you
would
like
be
to
a
see
lot of
that?
fun.
Yeah, I'd like to.
You've never seen yourself tell
Yeah,
stories.
it would really be great.
I want to see how much I look like an idiot.
You don't look like an idiot at all.
So can you tell us some stories now?
Well, what shall I tell you?
Why don't you
It's
tell them the
hard to
story
do
how
on
you?
command.
Why don't you tell them the story how I forced you to marry me?
No, I don't think I'll tell
That
you
would be
that.
a good story. What?
I won't tell them that.
Yes, you tell them
I
that.
have to tell them something practical.
I told her, you marry me or else. So she said, or else.
Say something. Say something.
I did say something. I've been talking all the
He's
time.
been talking for 10 minutes. It's your turn.
You're telling a lot of anecdotes.
Why don't you say something?
Well, I can't think of anything
You're not
to
the
say.
silent
An
minority.
anecdote.
It's funny, as soon as you put the camera on somebody, they can't think of anything
Yeah.
to say.
Tell them how good looking you think Reagan is.
Oh dear.
I'll tell him how I went to the doctor the other night. Suppose I'd tell him that.
Yeah, tell them.
Glenn, I
Wait,
went
what?
to the doctor the other night, and I hadn't seen this.
Oh, this
I
funny.
hadn't seen this woman for a long while. I'd never known her very well. And so I saw this receptionist come up, and I said, I'm Mrs. Prival. This is the patient right here. This is Benno Prival. And she walked toward me, and she said, it's something, Zora, something. Oh my gracious! It's Kathy Solt.
It's the doctor's wife.
It was the
and she
friend,
didn't realize it.
that I knew, and this got me terribly flustered. And then she says, "No, I haven't seen you since you were walking your dog." And she says, "Do you still have it?" And I says, "No, she died a couple of years ago," and it just broke my heart. I said, "It just broke my heart when I lost you." What was your dog's name? She says, "I know it started with a D." And I said, a D. So mind you, I was flustered already, and I said, D. I thought of all kinds of D names. I was getting more and more frantic every minute. I turned to Benno and I said, "You know the dog. What?" He says, "What dog?" I says, "You know, the dog, you know." And he says, "You mean Levy?" By that time, I was just drained. I was exhausted. Embarrassing moments, because I'd professed that, I forgot to tell you, I told her, I said I was so brokenhearted and I loved her so
Well,
much,
that's
and
very
here
much-
suddenly I couldn't think of her name.
Well, she's that way very often, you know. I came home one night and she said, I know I met you somewhere, but I don't remember where I met you.
Oh, that's a good story, Mom.
That's a good
Yeah.
story. It's a good story on me, isn't it? A lot of other things I forget, too, that I wish I didn't forget.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not
Well,
that...
I can tell the story about, I went one Christmas, I went to buy, I was going to buy several things. I was going to buy myself some records that were supposed to be a gift from Zora, and I was going to buy her a camera. So,
But that's a long story. It's going to
What?
take it's going to take all the tape.
what?
No, it's okay.
All right, go ahead, proceed.
So anyhow,
Nice.
I bought the camera, and then I went to the record store. Everything was fine. I left the record store. I bought the record, and I hit the camera, and I walk along towards Broadway, and all of a sudden I notice I haven't got the camera. I look down at my hand, and I see the record, but I don't see the camera. I said, "Oh my God, I left it in the record store." So I went back to the record store, and the goodies, and the goodie comes over, he says, "What are you looking for?" I said, "Well," I said, "I put a package here on the table," and I said, I turned away for a minute, it was gone. And he says, "What was in the package?" I said, "A camera." "Oh," he said, "forget it. With all these people here, you'll never get it back." So the salesman said, "Well," I said, "I'll take your name." And he said, if we find it, I'll let you know. So I was very upset. I just bought the camera. So I decided, well, that's the best I can do. I better go and buy another camera. And I leave the record store, and as I'm walking towards Broadway, I notice that there's a string hanging from my hand. And I look down, and there's the camera. And I couldn't see the camera because the records were hiding it.
All that time he'd been carrying it around.
So I found the camera. So a few days later, I met the salesman on the street. He said, "Did you ever find your camera?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Where?" I said, "Well, I had it in my hand all the time." He looked at me. This man's crazy.
Well, it's like in the old days when they used to, I don't know why it's told more about the old days than now, but
What?
very common for people to lose their glasses, and where did they find them? They had them,
Right on the top of their
pushed
head.
on their head, or something like that.
Yeah.
One day I took the Hudson Tubes to go to work, and I arrived at
Get
14th Street Station, and I get out, and all of a sudden, the train I was on stops. The guy pulling the cord, and the train stops, and he says, "Your lunch, your lunch!" And he hands me the lunch through the window. And then I take the lunch, and he says, pulls the chain to start up again. Stop the train,
Well, he
give me
could
my
tell by
lunch.
looking at you, you were a man who had to have his lunch.
What?
He could tell by looking at you, you were a man who had to have his lunch.
What?
You
Well,
enjoyed
I'd
your
had
lunch.
lunch, yeah.
Yeah, but it was remarkable. When we
Oh,
think of
yeah.
them all being so hard-hearted, and
So that's
impersonal.
a story of the professor that scratches his pancakes and puts some marmalade on his head. And now you got it. Now I'm on record for eternity as being an idiot. Everybody knows, well, this man's got bats in the mouth. So Zora
What
said,
do you do, run a certain amount of tape, or is that what you do?
This will run for 6 hours, right? Except you'll
Oh.
run out of the battery will
Yeah,
go. The battery has to be
Yeah,
recharged.
that's a good long time now.
But you can actually take 6 hours on each roll of film,
yeah.
2,
right?
4, or 6 hours,
2
depending on
hours,
the speed
4
that I
hours or
tape.
But then the tape is gone, and you can erase it. But if you want a record of it, that's it.
Yeah.
You can't transfer it to anything else, can you?
Not right now, although they're working on a way of transferring it to pictures. You can make regular prints out of it. Sony has got a system that's coming out now.
So if you liked a frame, you could stop it and
Is this
make
a
a
Get a
picture?
print out of it. This
Oh,
Hitachi.
there's the sun.
I had a friend, you know,
Yeah.
that they always talked about. You remember what the friend's name was?
Oh, God, no.
Well, I do.
You would. Who?
Her name was Jansrud. She used to talk about her
Nice
friend,
breed.
Mrs. Jansrud, remember?
No, I don't remember it even when you speak it.
Well, yeah.
But I was surprised to find that Nels, who was the boy then, has grown up to be this.
You know, we saw him
what
on
is this
something last night.
successful actor. He's founded a dynasty. His sons are all successful, and
He died, didn't he, the man that played the father?
I believe he did.
Yeah.
Leon Ames?
Huh?
No.
And I think the
Yes.
mother did
No,
too.
that's
if I
not
remember
Leon
right.
Ames.
No, I know. I realized that
No,
after I said
that
it.
was different. That was called Life with Father.
And what was the woman's name?
I don't remember.
I've seen her in some things.
And I used to love the series about, we didn't have color, but I know they were the redheaded family of the days. Remember? What was
Yeah,
that called?
that was
With
Leon
all
Ames.
the boys. And,
Oh,
Life
yeah.
with Father.
that was very
I
good.
like that program.
Yes, I like that
He used
too.
to come and say, Vinny, I'm home.
Yeah, that was good.
That might be our phone. But honey, you never get upset. It always
I don't know
stops
why they
ringing.
give us those
And if it
programs.
keeps ringing,
They're
it's because
cute
it's a kid.
programs.
who lets it
Usually
ring
the children
16.
grow up. That's
Oh.
what makes them give them
I
up.
think Brian's upstairs, isn't he?
And like I don't think any show ever folded up as popular as All in the Family. Even Archie's Place, which isn't really too great, has stayed in the top 10 or so, and mainly because he's so well liked, you know.
And he's the only one left.
But yes, except for a guest appearance, they have, as usual, they always end up adopting a child, which they did. And this little child now has grown up to be a teenager. She's like about Robin's age, and all those. A lot of the episodes are about her. Not that I watch it regularly, but
I think one of the funniest items in that series was when he and Maud were on the program. And Maud used to tell him off.
yeah,
I think they were-
Maudie's here.
Huh?
That's what one of the episodes ends that way. You know, he was trying to get her out of the house.
Is it on now or
and,
not?
and suddenly Edith calls down, "Oh, I'm sick. I've got it now." She says, "Never mind, dear. Maudie's here."
Who said this?
Maud. Maud.
Oh, she said.
That's when they were together mostly. When they had some scenes when they went out to Long Island to her fancy home.
Oh.
They had a couple of episodes where the family was sick and she came to take care of them, and they were loggerheads right away, you know, constantly at one another. She wanted to sit in his chair. Remember that where they circle around about the chair, and he wants to get her out of his chair, so he involves her in a conversation insulting Roosevelt, FDR. And she comes to Roosevelt's, with that she gets to her feet and starts sounding off, you know, about what a great man it was, and while she's distracted, he suddenly sits in the chair, you know. And
I don't remember it. I haven't
Yeah.
seen that since it had been on originally. So
yeah, I've seen
many
quite a
years.
few of the reruns. They're good.
Gee, I'm going to be sunburned, I'm afraid.
Well, why don't you move into the shade, honey?
I think I better move.
I'm going to step in front. I don't know if you want to turn.
How am I going to move?
Whenever he wants to.
Oh, you mean, but the first time he has to run by the third.
Yeah. You didn't run. Man. Here we go.
Now, if he runs, what do they do?
You try to hit him with the ball.
Hit him. They
Either
take
hit
the-
him or tag him.
either throw the ball at him and hit him, or tag him.
You can keep going, Claire.
But is there any advantage to it? Are you counting runs?
I don't want to. You still get him.
Do you Cal runs.
That was a wild throw that
Here,
that
quick.
Damon made. That was a good throw. Think he's going to be any talented at baseball, Glenn? Can you tell?
Well, he doesn't seem to have any interest unless he gets an interest. He can't play a nose route.
I wish he'd take up tennis
I know.
and
but
be
you
a
know what's
champion
gonna
tennis
happen.
player. Of course, I suppose there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that aspire unless you're in the top 10, or so it really isn't that profitable. I don't know when it starts to be profitable, maybe 15th or 20th, I don't know, but you got to be pretty high up, or you can't even enter these.
All right, Damon. Right in the middle.
Oh God!
In your head.
Is he crying?
Here, Damon.
Are you doing them? Oh dear, I'll help you find them.
What did you do? How did he hurt himself?
You hit him in the arm.
Hey,
I thought it hit leg. Or you hit both of them.
Ready? Damon.
Maybe we should find a tennis ball.
Time here. What a good idea.
That's one that
That's
come
a
on,
broken
shoot up.
one.
I don't think that's going to be very good.
I found a good green one the other day in the Pachysandra gave it to Damon. I don't know what he did with it. Remember that, Damon, when I found that good green ball over there in the Pachysandra? That should be around somewhere.
Damon, throw it to me. You went like this. You said, here, Mom.
No, that's too big. It's too easy.
Oh gosh! Booty bombers!
I think this would be good.
No, it's not.
It's too big.
Throw it a little high. Trying to get him to run.
There's something red right there. Isn't that a tennis ball? You see it right there, Zorina, near the robin? Isn't that a ball, kind of an orangey one right there on the ground?
croquet balls. Those are croquet balls. I don't think that would be.
And there's you broke somebody's arm.
I thought it was a tennis ball.
Looks like someone gave me a hickey, doesn't it?
No.
It hurts.
It doesn't know what a hickey looks like.
He doesn't know what he is.
I hope one of those wild throws doesn't break the glass on the door. At the tennis ball, I don't worry quite so much, but
Yeah,
this
let me
is awfully
find one.
hard.
Maybe in the garage.
Freeze! Yeah, all right. You off the base? Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna finish after. Okay, Mom?
You're out.
I'm gonna finish after. I know. No. What
Where were you all morning, Lamumba?
Huh?
Where were you all morning?
Home?
All morning? You didn't go out?
Yeah, we went out.
Well, then you weren't home all morning.
Well, I was.
Mom, you did!
Here.
for, huh?
Nobody's going for it?
I'm sorry.
The doom ball.
Is it off?
That's it. Me and Damon are hopping. Look at that. Nobody goes.
I know.
Well, you all need to throw it out.
I was about to. Can I play? Can I play? Can I play?
All right, fine. Ready?
Can I play?
Yeah.
You have to run when you want to and you can get tagged. How many times is it? Three times. I can get tagged once. You don't get out when you're tagged just once? No, you have to get tagged 3 times.
God, Joe, you don't take any risk. No, you can't do that. That's interfering, man.
Do that! Hands up! He got triggers! No!
Well, y'all were piled together. All I do is throw it towards you. You can't knock the ball away from him.
No! That didn't count.
Yes, it did count. Out.
That's true, Mother!
That's true.
Well, I need some exercise. That's why I got in this game.
All right. Damon! Oh, yeah, it hit my knee. It bounced away.
Now I throw it.
Go pretty high. Damon!
Swoosh. She's gonna be gone next time. Oh, God!
I can back it up. We better not stop throwing that at everybody and just try and tag them out.
Yeah.
Instead of throwing that. Damon.
Oh, I want to pat.
She plays it better than the kids do. She takes advantage of more of these things. than the
Damon!
children.
That's it. Damon, throw it as hard as you can. Throw it. Throw it. Damon, Craig is running back.
I don't think you're going to be a ball player.
Oh, Pay! Oh. No, I don't want to stop, but I have curves.
Damon! I said don't throw it at anybody. Throw it to me or I'll throw it to you.
Well, what did you do to her?
I threw it at her. All right, wait. Stop. You're wrong.
I think 3 times takes too much time. I think you should only be twice.
But you're out, Mom. I know.
So it's correct.
Well, Craig only has one.
But I think maybe next time, after you get us on the 3rd time, we should have a, I'll be in if you want. Thanks, Monica.
All right, come on, Dave. Let's get this going here. Let's get the combination going. Come on, what do you want?
I don't know. Why did
I've heard that before.
Throwing it to you, your person was safe. You had nobody to tag. Craig, you can't do that. Craig hit it. It's over there, Damon, behind the bus.
It's behind the bus, Damon.
You can't do that, Craig.
I know! Stop running! God!
Catch that?
Y'all lines been since I've
She
done a
did well,
cartwheel.
didn't she?
Somebody
She's
knocked
terrific.
her in. Sarah?
She has wonderful use of her body.
My nose. Oh my God.
What's wrong?
God damn it! Does the tennis ball hit you?
It gives them a lot of time to get across, Damon, when you make that moon ball.
Okay.
Very good cheese.
Good. Tell me what you've been doing since you came here. Have you done anything interesting, George?
Yes.
Like what?
Got stuck in a Lincoln tunnel.
Years ago, when I used to take home movies. I would never think of leaving the camera on something for any longer than about 10 seconds because we had short rolls of film.
Right, they
And
wind right
so
down.
you got about 15 or 20 shots, short shots at 10 seconds each on a roll of film. And that was it. So the result was that your home movies were always, you know, just a dash of this and a little bit of that. And you could hardly keep up with them when you saw them on the screen.
Well, you have several
This
hours.
is altogether different where you leave it on forever. It's like forever.
Makes you feel very self-conscious.
Yeah.
You were on the other end too, weren't you?
Yeah,
Makes a
yeah, I was
difference.
always behind the camera. In fact, in still photography too, I'm usually behind the camera. I never have my picture taken very much.
You're a
Which is,
photographer, George?
Yeah, I've always been interested in photography.
What is today's date? I think we should record today's date.
20s.
May 26th, I believe.
Yeah, May 26th.
May 26th.
82.
1982.
1982.
All right.
The day before my brother's birthday. So what's everybody up to this weekend?
Without Benno, I don't know what we'll do.
Oh, did I finish it?
We'll be going to see
Yeah, I
him,
guess
I
so.
suppose, at the hospital.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank you.
And that's going to make a little difference.
One day
down
this
my
week, I'd
side.
like to get over to the Montclair Museum and see the glass exhibit.
Oh,
Have you
there's
seen
glass
it? Yeah.
And I
I've
want you
lived
to
in
go-
Montclair
I'd
for
like you to
2
go to the
years. I've
crane-
never been there.
To the crane,
It's amazing.
the crane house, historic house,
I did.
and also to the Edison Museum. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
This one is.
Have you been
and that is
inside the
too.
crane house, Dora?
I suppose they're making changes all the time. It's interesting, very interesting. All furnished, you know, the period and all that.
A few times Shelley and I would drive by, and we'd see that little house in the back. I guess maybe it was a guest house or something at one time.
Well, unless they've changed it, they had a little summer kitchen.
Uh-huh.
It seemed that they did that a lot.
Because it looks like it has an upstairs, you know, a stair on the left.
Yes.
But we said, boy, wouldn't it be nice to build a house like that? You know,
Yes.
a little house, the exact replica of, you know, something from that period would be really nice. You know, who needs anything any bigger?
We probably walked right by that house yesterday
Well, we were
and
talking
didn't realize
about
what
a
it
little
was.
house in beside another one,
Yeah.
sort of set way back.
I think it's over
Yeah.
by Damon School.
The kitchen's
Is it?
particularly interesting. Apparently all the cooking was done at the hearth. They didn't have
The umbrella
cooking
comes
stoves
right
as we
in
know
front
it
of
yet.
your
That's fine. I like an umbrella.
There's some sort of a little,
I don't want to be in it, so that works
oh,
out
little
swell.
kind of a clamping thing where they put little birds, like I think sparrows or blackbirds or starlings or something, and toasted them there. Imagine trying to eat birds. You know, 4 and 20 blackbirds baked in a pie. That must have been the thing in those days, don't
You're
you
kidding.
suppose?
Well, why would they eat
They
the small
used to
birds
eat-
with the bigger
they
ones
used to
sold?
eat-
Well, I'm sure they could.
Nightingale
Maybe that
tongue.
was more of a delicacy. Maybe they like both. Maybe the
Yeah.
birds are more accessible in certain
why they
areas
go
than the large
nightingales?
birds. I just don't know.
The only thing is, wild turkeys were probably awfully tough. You
mean
know,
in
now
this
they
area?
raise them for tenderizing.
No, I'm going
Right.
hundreds of years back to the old
Oh, I see.
kings and queens and all
And
their
I suppose
palatial
on the
feasts
same
and all.
basis,
One
the
of their
little birds are
delicacies
probably
was
tough too if they're not.
I thought we were talking
Yeah,
about
they
the
don't
crane.
find
Nightingale.
no, but you can see the little
Not
critters
enough for a
of the
cat.
Did you say
birds.
nightingale cutlets?
No, nightingale
They really
tongue.
cook
Oh,
little
nightingale
birds.
tongues.
I can't believe they would cook little birds. What can you get from a little bird?
It's very interesting to see the genuine cooking items from that period when it was all done in front of an oven like that. Not even an oven, an open. But you know they had a bracket where they hung the kettle.
Right.
Kettle,
They would
yeah,
swing
that
it
was
right
the
over
pot,
the
yeah.
fire.
That was very common.
Well, they kill frogs just for the legs, and that's certainly another case of getting very little out of it. And
Well, I think a frog has a pretty good sized leg. Some of them, don't they?
Well, that's not the point.
I had it once in a
Mom.
restaurant.